Good morning, Laura.
Good morning, Vanessa.
You ready for the weekend?
Yes.
Me too. Well, hopefully we should have a quorum today, I hope.
I hope so, because we have CCS after this.
I know. Brian said if he needed to bail us out, he would come in for a CCS meeting.
Okay.
So,
Is
yeah,
he the only one not?
Well, I don't know I'm not sure what the status is for Kevin. Marianne is struggling right now. She's got so much going on with Girl
Yeah.
Scouts and everything that's going on there.
Right.
Diana will be here. David will be here. I'll be there. Brian will be in for the call, at least for the morning one. And I asked him to please stay on for CCS. So he said he
Okay.
would try.
So we should be okay.
We should be okay.
Okay.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Good morning to all.
Good morning, David.
Hey, how are you?
Good morning,
Oh,
Dave.
I'm doing-
Good morning. I like your outfit again, Vanessa.
Thank you. I like to be consistent for my Friday morning. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we do believe we have a quorum, David, just so you know. We've got Diana and Brian should be on. I'm not sure of the status for Kevin
right.
and
I think
Mary Ann.
I think
She
said,
didn't.
oh,
She said
had a-
she's she's
she had
struggling
an-
with.
and she had a
Yeah.
10 o'clock this morning too.
Yeah.
Well, we can appoint Debbie Jackson. I see she's here.
Oh, there we go.
I don't see her objecting. She's gone to the alphabet soup classes. She's done 2 out of 2.
Nice.
So she's fully informed. She's not responding.
No, I don't blame her. I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't either.
I just got a text message that our dial-in is not working for Dr. Barr, but it should be fine.
If you can let him know to use any of the other 6 phone numbers.
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
lot of phone numbers. There's a lot of numbers
Right.
there.
Yeah, Vanessa, I had the same issue with using the 5257 number and just used the New York number.
Okay, thank you.
There's a major echo with that, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the echo is. I'm guessing it was Tim, but I'm not sure.
Hello?
Hello,
Hi.
is this Dr. Barr?
No, this is Brian.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Hi,
Uh-oh.
Brian. I'm
Uh-oh.
not used to that. Oh, I see your number now. All right, so we will go ahead and change
But I'm
you
a
there, Brian.
I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor too.
I thought you just played one on TV.
Okay.
Marcus Welby, how's that?
Where are you here?
Oh, you push the lever down to set the speed.
You're not on mute, Brian, just so you know.
Okay, I'll figure that one out too.
Just letting you know.
A little preventive intervention.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of I could just see him
Uh-huh,
talking to Sandy
uh-huh.
on their drive,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
trying to prevent him from his own
Uh-huh.
problems.
Like, watch out for that. I remember some story about some newscaster who in the middle of his broadcast used a swear word
Nice. Yeah.
because he had just spilled coffee on his lap.
Oh,
And it
ouch.
was swearing because of the coffee, not because of the news that was being, whatever.
Okay. So it is now 10:01. So I think we still have, I think we have a quorum now because Brian's on, Diana's on, you and me.
Diane's on.
So we
Yeah,
at least
got it.
have,
Go for
four
it.
of us.
Go for it.
So I call the meeting to order. I'd like to do one quick adjustment to the agenda. We just need to add covenants back on based upon our legal opinion we just got with some recommendations that were made from the committee. So my motion is to add covenants as item number 2 and then shift down.
Got it.
Actually, you know what, Adam, do covenants next to the committee meetings. Thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, I'll second that. So it'd be item 5 or as part of committee meetings 4?
Correct.
Okay, that's fine. I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm assuming that, Brian, you're just on mute and you're saying yes.
And Diana's on mute.
Yeah, I'll unmute when I want to speak, otherwise I'm agreeing.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And
So
I
we
did
have-
hear Diana.
I
Thank
heard
you,
Diana.
Diana.
Good.
Okay. Motion passes. So discussion items. Facilities and program partner reopening update. I saw Nikki on here. Nikki, did you want to lead that?
Yeah, I'll take the lead. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
As far as the update, from September 4th through the 17th, I'll start with the pool attendance. At East Village, we had 30 residents. Spring Park, 20. Spring Lakes, 25. Lakeside, we had 14. But when we had our high school swim meet on September 16th, there were 41. And North Village, there were 22 residents. So far, we haven't received any additional concerns with the at-risk hours as well. Lounge chairs, we've been receiving multiple phone calls, emails about the status of the lounge chairs. We are still at 25% pool capacity, or pool furniture capacity, that is. We would like to provide a recommendation of allowing 25% of lounge chairs to be placed at each pool. But as far as the capacity of the 25, we haven't received any, 25%, we haven't received any concerns with the tables and chairs.
So Nikki, this is David, a question on that. And because I read the report, and we have 25% and you're asking for 25%. Does that mean you're asking for another 25%?
I'm just asking for 25% of the lounge chairs.
Oh,
So
okay.
not the tables or
I see.
chairs, it's
I
just
see.
25% of the lounge chairs.
So right now we have 25% of the other furniture and no lounge chairs. And you're asking for 25% of the lounge chairs.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Just wanted to get clarity. Thank you.
No problem. Would you like me to stop there for discussion on lounge chairs or keep going, Vanessa?
You know what, do you want to, because that's a motion, so why don't we go ahead and do that while we have everybody, and then we can move on to the next item. Does that work for you, Nikki?
That works for
Okay,
me.
I'll make that as a
Great.
motion concurrent with management's recommendation to put 25% of lounge chairs out.
thank you, David. Do I have a second from Diana or Brian?
I can second that motion.
Thank you, Diana. Any further conversation or discussion?
Seems reasonable at this point in time.
Agreed. Then I'll just call the vote. David,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Diana,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, thank you, Nikki.
Perfect. Thanks, Vanessa.
Absolutely.
As
Next.
far as pool cleaning, just reviewing the attendance for all 5 pools. I provided averages for you all. So between the hours of 7 a.m. to 12 p.m., there's an average of 9 residents. Between 12 to 4 p.m., 17 residents, and 4 to 8 p.m., 15 residents. So we would also provide an update on the pool cleaning hours. So instead of cleaning the pools 5 times a day, we would recommend cleaning the pools 3 times a day. So prior to opening, mid-afternoon, as well as evening.
So 2 comments, Nikki, this is David, 2 comments. One, first, thank you for all this detail. Thank you for all this detail. This is absolutely very helpful. Second is I'm going to endorse your updated cleaning schedule. I think this is consistent with our current science, particularly when we know now that it's about 5% of cases come from surfaces. The rest is air, what we know is basically airborne. So I think this is very consistent and consistent with public safety guidance, public health guidance. So I would make the motion to endorse the updated cleaning schedule.
Thank you, David. Do I have a second for that?
This is Diana.
Sure.
And I second that.
Thank you, Diana. Discussion or comment from any board member?
Kevin is on now, I see.
Yeah, I saw. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, I just
good.
saw him come up. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you,
Uh-huh.
Kevin. Any
Good
comments from
morning.
anybody?
Had some technical difficulties.
Did you have comments, Kevin? I'm sorry.
No. I was just saying I had
Okay.
some difficulties getting on this morning. That's all.
Got it. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Then I'll just call the vote. David, yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm a yes. Thank you, Nikki. So any other
Thank you,
things you
Vanessa.
need us?
As far as the complex, our partner sports leagues have begun their fall season this week. After reviewing their reopening, the CCSC reopening plan with partner programs, there were concerns with not allowing essential spectators, such as parents, inside the complex. We had a recreation committee workshop on September 10th. The committee recommended spectator viewing areas at a limited capacity. So spectators are required to wear facial masks inside the complex. We started to enforce that this week. So far, we only had 2 minor concerns with spectators not abiding by the facial mask mandate. However, 95% of the spectators were abiding by the spectator viewing areas as well as facial masks at the complex.
And based on that, you feel comfortable with moving forward on the recommendation?
Correct. I feel comfortable after this week. We have spectator pods per se. So we just asked that the spectators remain in their pods with their facial masks. And so far it's been working out fairly well.
So Nikki, David here, just a quick question. You said you had 2 minor concerns. What became of those? I mean, what was it that you saw it, you made a comment, and then they corrected their behavior, or was it something else?
It would be, we saw it and we made the correction to their behavior.
I mean, you reminded them you need to be wearing your mask and they complied.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's helpful. Thank you.
Any
problem.
motions on this?
No motions. It was just kind of an update to give you a heads
Perfect.
up with the complex.
Great. Thank you.
Gym
Nikki.
reservations. Oh, no problem. Gym reservations, they're going well so far. We would recommend keeping the cleaning schedule consistent at the gym every 2 hours.
Okay.
And then for the beach volleyball as well as playgrounds, we haven't received any concerns with either one of those locations. And since we've opened the basketball courts, our team has reported 10 residents utilizing the courts. If there are more residents, they're welcome to stand on the outer band of the basketball court. We just ask that only a capacity of 10 on the actual playing court.
Yeah, I've been down at the tennis courts sometimes, and I've seen them. I haven't seen any issues when I've been there. Again, it's to your point. It's 10 is the most that I've seen on the courts when I've been there.
So Nikki, on your last comment about asking people to stay on the perimeter, do we have signage that informs people of that?
We have an A-frame down there that
Okay.
states 10, a capacity of 10 on the basketball court itself. But park monitors who drive by, they're just asking residents if it looks like there's more residents on the side just to stay off the playing court.
Okay.
So it's not on the actual A-frame, it's just the capacity number that's on the A-frame.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have one question. This is Kevin. I don't know if this is Nikki or somebody else. We had a concern about playgrounds a couple weeks ago, and the conversation was about those signs. Do we have anything that reminds about the Osceola mandate with masks? Do we have anything that says that, or are we just saying CDC guidelines?
Yes, sir. We have Osceola mandate masks at all the
Beautiful,
playgrounds
thank you.
right now. No problem.
Thank you. Do you need anything from the board? It sounds like this is all stuff that's consistent with what we're currently doing. Is that accurate, Nikki?
That's accurate, correct. Mhm.
Okay, great.
One last comment on the gym and the cleaning. I'm glad that you are not changing that because that remains as one of the high risk areas. So an aggressive cleaning schedule does make sense. So I appreciate your recommendation about maintaining the current cleaning schedule.
Appreciate that. Anytime.
Yeah. Yep. Very good report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nikki, do you have any more other updates for us, or are you good now?
One more thing I would like to mention.
Yep.
So we had the field monitor. He would be patrolling during the morning time between 8 to 1 p.m. Since we're having, since all of our sports leagues are back at the complex, we're actually not going to have a park monitor in the mornings anymore. Just looking at the pool attendance, it'll just be myself and Cameron through Parks and Rec checking periodically. But I just wanted to give you all a heads up. The field monitor is going to go back to the athletic complex. So he can assist with the setup as well as the spectator pods.
Thank you. Any concerns with that, Nikki, right now, or do you want to just get back to us to see if there's an issue this coming up week with the change?
I'll follow up if there's any issues within the next week about this change.
Sounds good. Thank you. Any other board comments?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Nikki, thank you very much for your thorough recap. I love getting my email on Thursday evening with everything that's going on and then a follow-up here. Thank you for your diligence on this and your recommendations. We appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki. So we're good with facilities updates. There's nothing else to update on that, correct? We move on to the next item?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Microsoft Teams meeting rooms. We have a guest speaker this morning. Thank you very much. I would like to first comment that the technology committee has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much. And I love the complete email you sent out to the board regarding everything, and we're looking forward to your presentation this morning.
Okay, this is Jim Hayes, president of the committee. Just want to make one comment. Teams meeting room is definitely something we want to get into, but it's kind of phase 2. The phase 1 is what we're going to present on, which is what I call the Microsoft 365 Business Initiative, which will include email, storage, and Teams.
Perfect.
So just a point of clarification, and that now I'll hand it over to Paul Gibbons, who is the committee secretary, who will be doing the presentation.
Thanks, Jim. How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
All good.
You're good.
Good stuff. So I'm just going to try and present my screen if we can see that. So 1 second.
You should be able to. You're one of the co-hosts, so you should be able to
Cool,
share your
fantastic. Screen. Good. So this is the presentation that went out last night. So to add some context of that presentation, and this won't take too long, I promise, although I don't have the unenviable task of presenting technology. So you can see my screen now should be coming through with that presentation. Is that right?
Yep, you're good.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, fantastic. So this essentially the Office 365 Business Basic is the Microsoft license that we're looking to acquire here. So the agenda is what exactly is Office 365 Business Basic? Why do we need it? A brief demonstration and an overview of what is Teams, with some financials and open forum discussion. I won't take more than 5 minutes of your time. If you do, just cut me off and I'll get the message.
Pardon the interruption. What we see is a Zoom screen.
You see the Zoom screen, apologies.
That's all we see.
No, I see. I'm good. I can see the
I see
the agenda.
Okay, pardon me.
It's everything on there.
You're
good. You just need to scroll to a different screen then, David. It's on there.
Okay, pardon me.
Okay, no worries.
It says I'm viewing Paul Gibbons' screen and I see Zoom. Okay, I got it.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I can totally see it. Go to Town Hall screen.
It's got it.
You got it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Cool, fantastic. So, so what exactly is Office 365 Business Basic? And from Microsoft, The four main services included within that is Microsoft Exchange, which is the email server, if you like, although there's no actual server. This is a completely cloud-based email solution. OneDrive, which is storage. SharePoint, which we're not going to touch on that. We don't need that aspect. That's like an intranet, which we're not going to see here. And then the core piece is Microsoft Teams. So the main part being emails, storage, and Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft define that as work better as a team with better tools, collaborate in real time with professional email, persistent chat, online storage, and video conferencing tools that are always up to date and help keep your data safe. So what does that exactly include? Well, for a start, it means that everyone across the CROA board or committee will get an official email address, which will be the likes of at celebration.us.fl, and with that mailbox you will receive 50 gigabytes of space there, and it will also give you online access to Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, to view all those documents as well. So the Teams part is the online meeting and conferencing that will support up to 250 users. And essentially that one login, which would use your Celebration email address, would then give you access to all of the files. It would give you access to the chat, and it would give you access to all of your emails as well. In a nutshell, why do we need that? Well, as it stands at the moment, there are a lot of files that are going around across different formats, such as WhatsApp, Zoom, text message, Google Drive, Dropbox, Hotmail. All of the documents for the town are going across all these different platforms, which, as we know, it's not secure. All the files are on different people's personal laptops. They're in work email accounts, they're in personal Hotmail accounts, and we just cannot apply security settings across all of those platforms. So anything that goes out to anything can't be controlled. And then the biggest problem, I think, is how do we always know that we're on the most recent version? So many of us have come to realize now this is how we make sure we're on the most recent version. We send that to each other's, which is, it's not the most efficient way to do it. What the best way we feel, and what this platform really supports, is those documents live in a central location, and we can determine who has access to those documents. And then we can also edit them at the same time and share them easily. So that's the spiel, if you will. There is a 2.5-minute video which I'm going to try and play now on Teams. So that was the email piece. This is the Teams. If this will play, and can you let me know if you can hear that sound?
Can you hear
it? You can hear Teams.
I can't now. I think that you need to unshare this and then reshare something. Is that possible?
Yeah, let's try that.
This is what you sent out ahead, or Jim sent out ahead.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's a link, a YouTube link.
Yeah.
Email out that same video. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. It was helpful.
I think it'll be very helpful for the group too, for the audience,
Right.
And those that didn't click on the link.
Right.
Just to be clear, if this was in Teams, we'd know how to do it. Exactly.
Yeah, this is not.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I was actually talking to my husband about this morning, and this is what they have been using, is the Microsoft Teams for quite some time. And it's a great platform.
Paul, I unshared your last share, so you can start fresh with the video.
Okay, great.
Perfect. You're good now.
We see it. We see it.
Yep.
Hi there.
And can you hear it?
Yes.
A collaboration app that helps
Volume is low.
Organize and have conversations all in one place. Let's start with what else? Teams. Here, you can see a list of all the teams you're part of. Teams are made up of channels. You can build them by topic, department, or just for fun. Channels are where the real work gets done, where you hold meetings, have team conversations, and share files. At the top of each channel, you'll find tabs. They're like links to your favorite files, apps, and services. Want to have a quick, on-the-spot meeting with people in your channel? Let's meet now. In a meeting, you can show content from your computer or record your meeting. When you share a file in a channel conversation, you and your team can edit it at the same time and share thoughts alongside it. To find all the files that have been shared in the channel, go to the Files tab at the top of the channel. To see all the files ever shared across the team, click Files on the left. Want to talk privately with a person or group? Click New Chat at the top and type their name. Give the chat a name to make it easier to find later. To make a call directly from a chat, click Video Call or Audio Call. In some cases, if your organization has set it up, you can call anyone from Teams using Call, even if they're not using Teams. In meetings, you can see everything you've got lined up for the day or week. Or schedule a meeting. This calendar syncs with your Outlook calendar. Go to Activities for a view that lets you catch up on all your unread messages, @mentions, replies, and more. And use the command box to search for specific items or people, take quick actions, and launch apps. Convenient, right? And don't forget to download the mobile app so you're in sync when you're on the go. Thanks for watching. Now bring in your team and let the collaboration begin.
Okay, so that's the official video, and I think in summary, I think for us, it really means that we become a little bit more professional. Our documents are safely secured and easier to find, and we can communicate across committee with anyone else across the town a lot easier. So I think really this isn't mind-blowing stuff. This is just really the basics done right from the technology committee, and we all get the email address, which I think makes us look a bit more professional internally and certainly to external vendors too. So if there's any questions on that, please feel free to shout those out. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I have a couple quick questions. The calendar, if we I see you can download the app on your phone. Is there a challenge when it comes in the future? Let's say a board member terms out, and that email, will all of the information then become removed from the phone?
Yes.
Or from the computer?
So
okay.
Essentially, yeah. So because nothing's actually living on the phone and nothing's actually living on the computer as it is now. So
okay.
Right now, if we send a document, it stays on someone's computer, where the documents are not going to live on people's computers now. They'll live in the central online place. So they will use their username, their celebration username, email address to log into the system, to log into the platform. And on the day, if we decide to turn them off or turn the access off, they will no longer be able to log in and see the access. So that's how the security piece works.
Yeah, and as administrators, we can move their files to someplace else for someone to have access to. And we can potentially also make their mailbox a shared mailbox for a period of time so people can refer back to the emails.
Okay, and then my next question is for the calendar. Right now, anytime I get a calendar invite, it comes up on my phone. Will that calendar invite extend over into Gmail and things like that? Or is it a special one you have to put into your phone or your computer?
Well, if you have Outlook,
an Outlook calendar.
Yeah, if you have Outlook, which is what we recommend for email for this on your phone, you can also do Gmail through your Outlook. It's a little confusing, but if you do that, and you can actually have multiple accounts other than this one in Outlook. If you do that, it will show all of your calendars together.
Yeah. Right.
That's the same thing with Gmail. We just switch it to Outlook is what you're saying then. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Yeah.
Or
So,
Jim, any?
yeah, on that first question.
Yeah.
And I think I had posed some questions.
Yeah.
And she responded. So if someone were to save a document that they're working on their own hard drive, that doesn't disappear when they turn them out.
Correct.
Because it can't. I mean,
so that's yeah.
Okay.
So David, just on those questions, Jim, do you mind if I just take this one? This is so my reading of those questions that you sent through, David, were all really valid. I think those questions sort of split into two areas. The first area was sharing and editing, and the fact that they're online now means that they don't have to come down to your desktop. Yes, you can take documents down to your desktop if you really want to, but essentially you don't need to do that. So that means that there isn't any, the question of who's got the latest version just disappears.
Right.
So the need for a wish list to see who's got through different checks just disappears, and that's part of the increased efficiency, because all of those steps disappear and you can share a screen on Teams and work on that document at the same time. So that piece doesn't happen. And then my first whole, I read the first 4 bullet points of your questions, all came within that area, that everything was online. So all of those sort of questions disappeared. It's a bit of a paradigm shift, really.
Right.
And then the last 2 questions on the legal part were, how can we administer security? And I think the point there is that this is a lot more secure than what we're doing right now. So if someone leaves, those documents are still not available. There's no way that we can be sure who's got the latest version. So again, the legal security piece, because right now documents can be downloaded, edited, changed, and forwarded on to whoever. So that all gets tightened up a lot.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
So in the original $5 per month, right? This is the basic plan, the initial plan. It doesn't include anything to control the flow of documents outside. There is something you can add on. I won't get into a deep dive on it, but for like $2 a month per user, and all the users would have to have it. Where you can do things like you talked about, where if someone can look at it but not download it, if you actually send an email out with a document to someone, you can have that expire. So you can really go deep into the security with that feature. But I think, as Paul said, once everyone, hopefully we go forward with this, everyone gets used to this, there really isn't any need to keep the files locally, right? You just keep them up there. It's always, and when we say the latest version, there is versioning of, and I think I mentioned this before, there is versioning of the documents automatically. So David, if you go in and work on something one day, and then I go in and work on it the next day, and we hadn't communicated for whatever reason, I write over your changes.
It'll all show.
It'll show the history, and we can revert back to either yours or the one before both of ours.
So Jim, a technical question on that.
Yep.
What if you and I happen to be working on the same document at the same time?
Yeah, it shows where we're each working. It's called co-editing.
Oh, okay.
It's supported, with this, you get the online versions of Office.
Okay.
So if we can be working on the same document at the same time within Teams, actually. It'll show where you're at. It'll show where I'm at.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Here's a broader question. Has management reviewed this and weighed in on whether this is a good idea or bad idea, consistent with what they're doing and so forth? That would be a Susan, a Neil question.
Well, Patrick has obviously been involved in all these discussions. We brought him in this week and showed it. He had a preview of this. We've talked to him about a little bit. We definitely want to have management on board with this. We want Patrick. I talked to Patrick yesterday. He is open to this. If Neil thinks it's a good thing, we would like to have Patrick be able to do some of the administration in this, as well as the technology committee doing it. But we haven't formally asked for an opinion from them.
Okay, so this is really for the whole volunteer structure of our community.
Correct.
Okay, That's helpful.
Hey, David, do you mind if I jump in real quick?
I don't, not at all.
Hey, Patrick, are you comfortable talking to this yet? I know you only got introduced this week to it, but are you comfortable giving your feedback as of today?
I don't mind giving my feedback at the moment. From everything that I've seen, I like the capabilities. I like what it has to offer. I don't really have much apprehension besides the fact that we are going to have to get everyone on board, and we do have several committees, several members with different technical backgrounds, some who are comfortable with apps and how to navigate these these programs, and then you have others who jokingly couldn't make it to the Zoom meeting because it's just too much for them. So that's my only apprehension. There's going to be some time needed to transition everyone over and make them feel comfortable and aware of all the options that are available to them.
That's fair.
But I do like what it has to offer.
Yeah, I think it's Paul here. So I think, to follow on that point, I think even more that for me, it just rings of if we have got people with different technical ability, I think this provides them one single login and they'll get access to everything that they need instead of those different platforms. And secondly, it just means that the data is secured, so no one can inadvertently misplace a document or send something they shouldn't. So I think with that said, that sort of reinforces my view that we should be doing this. My personal opinion anyway.
Another way of looking at this is there's no downside for doing, say, for a year. It's $4,000 decision based on this proposal. And if it did not work, or we found that there was too much confusion, then we could go back to how we're doing it today. Would that be a fair statement?
Absolutely.
I can't imagine doing that, but it's
I think
the other thing of note. Sorry, Paul. The other thing of note, just really quickly, since you mentioned the cost, we actually have budget left this year, and we can actually bring this out of our budget. We can reallocate the funds that we have budgeted, and we can cover this, so it doesn't have to come from CROA.
Well, it's CROA, but it's
yeah.
Exactly. It would come from the technology committee budget.
Yes,
is what you're
from
saying,
our budget.
of,
you don't have to. You don't have to pass an additional 4,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the cost savings, Jim. So if anyone is paying for Dropbox storage, if anyone's paying for Microsoft licenses, if anyone's paying for any other technology, sort of, if there's any Zoom meeting costs, any of that, all that then melts away. So there's a cost saving beyond that for all those disparate platforms.
But the Zoom, like when we do this meeting, that's a Zoom meeting cost. Well,
it is. We do have a Zoom. We do have a Zoom account. There is a Zoom. There is a Zoom. Yeah, there is a Zoom. There is a Zoom meeting cost. Yes.
Okay, so you would save. We haven't put the cost savings on this slide. You would save Zoom and any storage, Dropbox, OneDrive costs that you currently have, because we get 50 gig each, and we get I can't remember the
1 terabyte. Each
1 terabyte, yeah.
1 terabyte of storage.
That's a lot. That's a lot of writing. That's a lot of writing.
Hey, David.
Video storage. Go ahead.
Yeah, jump in.
So I've been fortunate to the technology committee and Brian have let me troll a few of their meetings since I got here, and take away. I think what Patrick says is really important, in that if the board wants to proceed implementation, we need to have an educational component for our volunteers. Jim is nodding his head. They have already discussed this, the committee has. From a corporate perspective, and a big part of my role is looking at ways to mitigate risk to the corporation and your liability. Intellectually, from an intellectual property standpoint, you talk about state statutes and people allowed to make records requests, and sometimes scrambling, and good initiative but bad judgment of people that one time they make the mistake of sending an email from their personal account. The implementation of this, probably not even long-term but short-term, it does help the corporation in a mitigated risk position of intellectual property and potential, willful or not, mistakes that all of us make from time to time. Like you guys have talked about, leaving a document on your desktop, or going through Gmail or Hotmail instead. So if we can get this implemented, it will create additional layers for the board and their fiduciary responsibility to our homeowners. I guess that's just a really long way of saying I think it's a good idea. But the why is important if we're going to be spending money.
And is this something you all use right now or not?
No, we use variations of Word or Microsoft programming.
Okay.
But me, I'm also somebody who has a bad habit of working off server. And I say server meaning off CCMC server. So plenty of times where a document that needed to be worked on as a group previously, it couldn't be done because it was on my thumb drive, not on our shared server. So I think not only is it a good idea, I think this also aligns with the technology committee's goals and our cornerstone of technology advancing. This is a great place to start.
So I think Brian just chimed back in. I think I just saw him, readmitted him. Brian, did you have any comments on this?
Yeah, could you hear me now?
Yes, you're good.
You. Yeah, I was gonna say I was trying to talk and I was in no man land there. I've been into several of the technology committee meetings, and I want to be a big advocate for this because what we have been doing, I think, is very disjointed in multiple technologies. This has the advantage of allowing us to have control, but it also allows us to use technology to have good meetings where we use both in-person and video and display material as well. And we've had lots of issues where we wanted to try to find old emails and stuff like that where we couldn't do it. We'd have that capacity here and stuff. So I think this is a strong positive. We try it for a year, but I don't think we're trying it for a year. I think we're committing to this. This is where we get control of our situation, and we really make it a requirement for the board and committees that you learn how to do this. Because once people get familiar with it, people will do it, and it'll work well, but we'll have our history. And as CCMC, I worry less about them or any other management company. They'll have their own systems, but to the extent they're copied on our emails, we'll have access to that information because we need to run this like we're an entity, and they'll run it like they're an entity, but then we control the data through that way.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Brian. Go ahead, David, or any other board comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, just to follow up, I fully agree with what Brian said, but there's one question that Brian mentioned, talking about in-person and video. Did we highlight that here? Because I think that we said we're not going to look at that at this point.
Yeah, we did not. As pretty much as soon as we get the go ahead on this, we'll start having discussions and presentations around what I've already showed you and sent everyone a video of the Microsoft Teams rooms.
Right.
And so what that is, it's basically a hardware package that integrates with Teams that makes the experience of on-premise and remote fairly seamless. And basically you show up in the room, and because of the way the hardware is, the camera will move around to who's talking, things like that. It'll be displayed up there, different, depending on, what we choose to do. There's a lot of things that we can do with that.
And that would be embedded or as part of whatever package. I mean, this package.
Yeah, you need to do this first. Yeah.
Yeah, all the licensing for people to be on the Teams platform is here. You would just get additional equipment that we would configure to interact with it.
This is great. Thank you so much.
Diana?
Or go ahead, Diana, and then I'll follow you.
Okay, just a couple questions.
Diana, can you speak up a little bit for us?
Yeah, sorry, I'm having trouble getting in on the phone line. The phone line says it's not attached to the meeting, so who is going to be the admin for this?
Well, initially for the first year, we've said that we would do it because we want to work through any kinks. We want to kind of spearhead the educational component of it, along with, if everyone approves, on the management side, probably Patrick being a global admin as well. Then after that, we could select a vendor. What happens is we would then probably switch over, and initially we're going to buy this directly from Microsoft. We might buy it from a partner. Usually people would offer support with being the cloud solution partner, if that makes sense. So it's kind of, if we assign it to them, they make some profit on this, right? So they do the support for it. So that's probably what if you don't want the technology committee to continue doing, which is fine with us, we can help select that vendor or those potential vendors, and then we can hand that over after year one.
Okay. My other question will be, do we have a current contract with Zoom that can be canceled, since moving to this would circumvent our need for Zoom?
Zoom is month to month, so we can actually cancel this month and not be under any contracts.
Okay, thank you, because that would be duplication of services. And just a comment, I use this at work, and frankly, I have people that are not tech savvy at all and are using this off cell phones and can jump on meetings, can participate in meetings, we share information. And I'm sure all of the people on our committees, once with a little bit of training, will be able to do this. I highly recommend it. I think it solves a lot of our issues. And again, it's very, I don't want to say intuitive, but it's very easy for people to learn. So I wouldn't have any hesitation on that.
I think there's one quick comment that there was, we just need to confirm what our resolution for this needs to state to make sure that the technology committee can work in conjunction with management on this. So. Any comments, Kevin? I know you were a part of the technology committee also. Is there, Kevin, are you on there? I'm sure that, any comments?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm listening, and Joseph's comment was my main comment. I appreciate the volunteerism that we do have in the community, but I think sometimes we rely on that too often instead of, actual management for certain items.
Yeah, so
you can't expect the same out of a volunteer as you do somebody that is a paid member of staff.
Right. So
I just want to keep that in mind.
Yeah, thank you. So it does say, apparently, Joseph says, shall not be involved with routine management and operation. We totally agree with that. This will be considered an implementation and a rollout. And when we're comfortable, we'll happily hand over the routine management and operation to a vendor.
Well,
yeah.
I hear that. I would like to see what that cost is from the beginning, or that process. Full
we
process.
Would find a vendor, for instance. I don't know if you've heard of CDW. CDW is a cloud solution partner. If you do buy these licenses through them, they provide support as part of that. But there's many vendors that do that.
There's a free direct Microsoft.
Just very quick, I think,
Sorry,
I think to the point, perhaps as we're doing the implementation, maybe the committee can recommend how to move forward on this, so we can at least have a solution moving forward, or a partner moving forward on this.
Yeah.
I think that would probably be helpful to the board, and then we can have the committee working in conjunction with, obviously, Patrick and our management team, but also the partner that'll ultimately be taking it over.
Okay.
Oh, and then I have Diana did ask a question. What's the cost difference between using a vendor versus purchasing directly?
None.
It's pretty nominal, isn't it?
No, there isn't any difference.
There isn't.
No.
Okay.
No, the only difference is basically when we do it directly, Microsoft will get whatever that profit is. I know from behind the scenes, having worked for a partner in the past, that it's about like 10%. It's not a lot, but it's something. And Microsoft judges, their partners on licenses and things like that as well. But to us, there is no difference. The only difference is whether we commit monthly or yearly, and then it's a smaller amount, obviously. It's six versus 5, or $7.50 versus 5. So the $5 is a commitment for the whole year. $5 per month for committing for a full year.
I think committing to a year, I think, is probably the best way to go. You can't really analyze how things are going if you don't actually give it a chance and work through some problems. So, board comments, anything else from anybody else on the board here?
Yeah, I have 2 items. One is a follow-on on Diana's question. If we cancel the Zoom account and then it gets subsumed in here, is there a limit in terms of Zoom? Because I remember one of our early Zoom meetings, we needed to change our contract so we could allow more than 100 people. So is this Zoom account limited?
I believe they keep upping the limit, but I believe it's 500.
Okay.
Now it might be more than that.
That's fine. And then the other question is, or that comment, Vanessa, you're looking for a motion at this point?
Yes. Yeah. Somebody's in a background there. I'm hearing some. Okay. Thank you. Whoever just muted or stopped the conversation.
Are you looking for a motion?
So yeah, I think we need to motion to move forward at least. I think
it's, my iPad is talking.
Sounds like C3PO. Is C3PO come into this meeting?
Clearly, your iPad wants to talk to you this morning.
I don't want to talk.
Yes, I would like to have a motion moving forward on this.
So I'll move to endorse this.
This is
but do we need further direction other than endorsing this? Do we need?
Well, I was going to say, what does endorse mean? That's all I'm asking.
Move forward. Let's do it. Let's do it.
With the requirement that it be for board and committee members?
This whole
I'm just trying to be specific here a little.
Yeah. Because what the proposal on the screen is 7 board members, up to 60 committee members, and then a setup and administrative support. So the dollar figure was $4,020.
Can I'm going to backtrack on because I would like this to actually be voted on because of the dollar amount. I would like it to actually be voted on during a board meeting.
Okay.
But I do think that meanwhile, if we could try and get some qualifications maybe on what partner would look like, we don't need to do that before the board meeting, but I think that's something the technology committee can work on with what kind of a partner and what are going to be the costs and things like that moving forward on the partnership. Is that reasonable?
I'm actually thinking, I was thinking the same thing that you're saying, Vanessa, rather than, and 4,020 is too precise. Why don't we say an amount up to 10,000 or something? Get the other partner information, but give us some flexibility here to do it right. It's not breaking the bank, but let's not constrain ourselves so that on day one, we're like, oh crap, we needed to buy something for $100 and we have no authorization.
Agreed.
And then what Neil said, but some education to get people up to speed, both the board as well as committee members.
But I think our administrator, Patrick, I mean, we need to make sure that our technology management partner is also aware. So we need to make sure Patrick is fully in touch and involved in this too.
I do have, this is Kevin. I just have two main things. One, I love seeing this. I think from day one, joining the CROA board, I've been asking to go ahead and get an email address that is, concrete to CROA for celebration. I would be very intrigued to see how we can go ahead and potentially look at this for celebration as a whole. Perhaps our website right now, I believe, is a CJC expense. Our magazine is a CJC expense. Is this something that could become a CJC just for continuity between all 3 entities here in celebration, to have CROA, CJC involved in that? It would be probably fantastic for transparency, for those record searches, the documents that we go ahead and we often find things are missing when we go ahead and get a record search. I mean, this board knows several of those situations that have happened, and there's a surprise later on. And I think that's that second point that I see the advantage of this. So is that something that we can go ahead and reach out to the other entities and see if it's something they could take care of and join as well?
let me jump in
I'll-
with part of an answer here.
Go ahead.
Since we were talking about this being a technology committee expense, the technology committee is already expensed at CJC, so it's there. So the question I think Kevin really has is, okay, do we put the CROA and CJC people on a email address that would be consistent with this one? Is that right, Kevin?
That's a fair way to say it, yes.
I have no issues with that. I think that's something though that needs to be discussed moving forward. I don't know that we need to solve that today, but I do think that it needs to be part of the solution also. Is that something, at least, yes, this is something we do want to do as a whole entity, or no, we just want to keep it specific to CROA?
Yeah, because going back to, I think, a lot of those expenses in town hall get split. They are primarily CJC items, right? So you have communication as a key item that is a CJC item particularly. So this kind of falls under that same umbrella, and let that technology committee keep that extra money maybe for next year for something else.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. So our motion right now, as I understand it, is to move forward with the up to $10,000. Brian, is that what you were thinking?
I could live with that. Yeah, I mean, really, the purpose of this meeting today was to get the board to say, yes, this is something we really want to investigate daylights out of and try to implement.
Brian,
Jim, correct me if
Brian, just 1 second. So since you have been working with the committee and you know exactly what you need from the board today, why don't you set the motion for us?
All right. I make a motion that the board charges the technology committee with doing the work necessary to get ready to implement this, and that they come back to the board with a full plan on how to implement. That may take, and
Is
Jim
a
can speak
motion
if he wants, that may.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what?
I think it is.
Why? I'm just confused. I mean, typically we'll go ahead, we'll talk about things, at a workshop. I'm all for this. I'm happy for it. But I think there's just very minor items that we need to go ahead and do. And typically we try to avoid voting on things such as this until we do at meetings.
Maybe we don't need a motion. We have a sense of what we want to do.
If we're doing a nod,
all we really need to do is
keep going.
Just keep going.
I would be happy if we just told Jim and them to get ready, figure out how we got to implement it. When they come back and really understand the final details, we can have a final vote when we need to.
Okay, there we go. So
Yeah,
Jim and Paul, thank you
try-
very much. This is very thorough. And now Jim and Paul, do you need anything else from the board with regards to direction? Are you good?
No, we wanted to get buy-in.
Are we going to go ahead and do?
Yeah.
You have buy-in. Buy-in.
We wanted to have buy-in. We realized that this isn't an implementation plan, it's a presentation, right? So we will move forward with the specific implementation plan, taking into account what's been talked about today, which is to find a partner or a number of partners and to reflect any costs associated with that partnering.
Okay, then we're good.
The only other comment there is just in terms of timing, maybe we can target getting this into the October board meeting. And I know Laura puts together the board book and they start it like next week for October. So just look in the next 2 to 3 weeks if that's reasonable. Otherwise it flips to November.
Yeah, we will work as hard as we can to get it into October.
Yeah, that'd be great. So we can move more quickly on this.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, we would too. Thank you very much, Jim and Paul. That's great work.
And just so everyone knows, our deadline for the board packet for the management team is the 9th of October. But we're finalizing it by the 16th. So if we can have it prior to the 16th, we can easily get it on.
Yeah,
great.
Good. Thank you for that clarification.
Anything else with regards to the Microsoft presentation?
Except just applause.
Yes, thank you so much for all your efforts on this. I love that you're trying to move us forward on one of our huge cornerstones. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
So on that note, we will move on to agenda item 3, amphitheater in Artisan Park. What specifically do you need from the board management with regards to the amphitheater?
Well,
Mike,
Mike, you go right ahead. But I'll tell you that in 2018, Todd put an action item on the board packet to replace the pergola of the amphitheater that's in bad shape. And at that point in time, the board says, wait, we're not going to decide that. We need to decide if we want to keep the amphitheater or if we want to tear the amphitheater down. So that's where we stand.
And if we understand, we actually got legal advice with regards to what our options were. And if we were to remove the pergola, if we were to remove that amphitheater and pergola, we had to vote on it. Is that correct? That it actually had to be a community vote because it's considered an asset?
I'll look at that. Just give me a minute. Mike, you want to talk for a sec? I think that Tom said that it was a board decision because it was an amenity, but that we should get the opinion of the residents that are surrounding it. But I'll find it here in just a second.
Thank you. Mike?
Yep, I'm here.
Any thoughts about what you would like to do?
I would like to salvage it. I mean, I think it's a piece that's been there. We just finished installing the sod there, so the amphitheater is starting to get that, it's starting to look really good. And I am concerned with the current condition of that pergola. The main frame is steel, but the wood surrounding it is in desperate repair, need of repair or removal. I mean, it's at the point now where it is getting into that liability stage where I think we have to act one way or the other. But my recommendation would be to see if we could, salvage it and keep it there. I think it's something neat to that park. But again, I think we do have to make a decision one way or the other.
Then what is it that you are needing from us? I'll open it to conversations. Let me open it up to conversation from the board really quick too. Is everybody up for the recommendation of salvaging the pergola area?
Yeah, this is Kevin.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I was just going to say, I mean, I remember hearing about this in the very beginning, on the very first tour, Little Around Celebration. Todd brought it up. Funny enough, the year after, that same conversation happened. A gentleman that was on the board that lives in Artisan was in favor of just getting it removed, wanted it out, and I don't agree with that. I think, to Mike's point, is that's been an amenity, that's something that's in the area. I think, if we go off well, we don't use it, I don't think the answer is remove it. I think it's find a way to use it. But it's been rotting for years, and I would like to go ahead and see that fixed and move forward.
Thanks, Kevin. Brian, I think you were chiming in. Go ahead, Brian.
I think we had a lot of questions back then about how much the cost was going to be and a cost-benefit type analysis. Yes, I remember the conversation that Kevin's alluded to too, but there was a lot of uncertainty as to how much money we were talking about. I'd be interested in having Mike tell us, well, how much is it really going to cost to fix it, and then how is it being used?
Diana, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm on my phone now, so hopefully that's better audio. Hey, I think we should keep it, but I do want to know what the expense that we're talking about. And I think we're kind of, I think it should stay, but until I know what the expense is going to be, I'm not totally committed until I know the expense.
Got it.
Speaking of which, do we have reserves for that?
Yes.
Yes,
yeah,
we should,
do.
Right? Susan says yes.
It's approximately $67,000. It's also for the lighting there, but that's what we have in the replacement reserve from the 2016 reserve study. We were expecting to have it completed by the end of 2019, so it does not show up in the 2019 reserve study, but it was put on hold at that point in time.
Did you say 6 to 7 or 67?
6 67,000.
57.
Six-
57.
57000.
67.
67.
Zero,
67K.
zero, zero, zero.
Got it.
2/3 of 100,000.
Exactly.
And before we spend 2/3 of 100,000, my question is, who's using it for what? I mean, that's a valid question.
And one question that did pop up that I didn't even think about this, Steve Northridge said, does CROA actually receive revenue from the weddings that are held there? To be honest with you, I didn't even know there were weddings that were held there. So I am not sure of the status on that. I think that's something that we should definitely look into.
So with this, with Mike's look at this, you talk about replacement or removal or
repair.
So there's a steel structure that would allegedly be sound. It's probably surrounded by wood. And so a proposal would be, looking at a wood replacement and looking at a non-wood replacement and cost differences. Just look at options for that space. It's a beautiful place in a beautiful setting.
Yeah, I agree, and that's one thing I'll do. I just wanted to get an idea if we want it. It seems like everybody wants to keep it if it's financially sound. What I'll do is now that I know we're going that direction, I will definitely get some solid numbers for us on every front, which would include wood, replacement with wood, replacement with a PVC product, or also a removal cost. So I'll have that for you probably within 2 weeks. Should be a good time frame.
Yeah.
That would be reasonable. Thank you.
That'd be reasonable. That'll be helpful in deciding to move forward.
Will do.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Do anything else with regards to the amphitheater, or we're good moving forward now?
Good to go.
We're good.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Committee meetings, Zoom. Go ahead.
This is related to, we mentioned at some point in time that we were going to start recording all the committee meetings, that we're not. We are at this point in time, but you had said, someone had mentioned that we wanted to keep them on the website. We haven't been putting them on the website. Do we want to put them on there? What period of time do we want to put them on there if they're recorded? Because there are space issues with keeping every meeting on the website. And Patrick, you can fill in on that.
Well, Patrick, one second. Could I jump in, please? I had sent an email about 4 to 6 weeks ago, and I know Kevin had thoughts on it. Right now we're recording the finance committee.
You're breaking up, Brian.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm in no man's land here. What I'd really like us to do is be able to at least have 2 or 3 of the most recent meetings on there, and then because it's usually more recent meetings that people care about. The other ones can be taken off the website and then stored somewhere else. But there's value for people who don't attend these meetings or who would like to view it at a different time to be able to see what went on. So if we're going to record them, I think there's a lot of value.
Okay, so for those that couldn't hear through that, he said it would be valuable to keep at least 2 or 3 recordings live for people to backtrack, and then we can just rotate those out. With the Zoom platform, is that something that we are capable of doing, Patrick?
Zoom allows you to store the recorded content well, we did upgrade our plan to allow for 100 gigabytes of storage to allow for those meetings. We're currently holding upwards of about 25 meetings a month, 25 meetings a month. So that space at some point will be eaten up.
Okay.
With regard to the website, it really is a direct connection with YouTube, which is out for the world to see. There is a hope that we can move back to Vimeo, which is what we started with. And Vimeo now has a live streaming platform, and it's more secure. It's what we used to use. And that would alleviate a lot of the uncertainty of whether or not we want to move forward and have all this stuff out there for the world, or if we want to make it nice and clean and have it integrated with our website on a secure platform. So I would essentially like to present a plan to get us back to Vimeo and away from YouTube. YouTube and the videos that we used to post were simply just the CROA board meetings and workshops and anything that just the board takes care of. Now we see us having to post quite a few meetings on that platform, and I think it should be clean.
So
With
here's
just
a
the board.
question. So as we move forward, then changing to our to a Microsoft platform would permit that to be able to be secure. Is that something that ultimately we could move towards instead of having to rely on any other video source?
Yes, I did speak with Jim on that, and unfortunately he's not on the call. He had to hop off. But that is something that we're working towards as well, especially if we get the whole Microsoft Business 365 business platform implemented.
Is it reasonable for at least for the next couple of months for us to try and just rotate out those videos, or is that not something that's capable?
I mean, it does take manual effort. I don't want to say it's difficult. Just have to go in and locate those videos and make sure that they get posted. No different than our board meetings.
Okay. So I guess on that note, any comments or feedback from the board with regards to how you'd like to proceed? I'm actually comfortable. I think it would be beneficial to have some meetings recorded so people can at least go back and reference them if they were unable to make it for whatever reason, especially those committee members that weren't able to make it. Thoughts from the board? David, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Several points. One is I fully support recording the committee meetings. I do think that's helpful. I think rotating them out after 2 or 3 meetings, because then the minutes take over. We have print minutes, and those are there. Second, as we move forward with the Microsoft Teams, and Patrick talks about Vimeo, so we can still use Zoom, but then store it on Vimeo and maybe store it behind the firewall. Is that the capability? So we could
Patrick,
still
can you store? Patrick, can Vimeo be stored behind the firewall or not?
It can.
And so we could record in Zoom. We can be in our Microsoft Teams. So I mean, I fully support
moving
all of these recordings behind our firewall and not on YouTube.
Right. Ultimately, that's where I strongly feel we should be, is everything behind a firewall. And Microsoft Teams will run into the same issue at some point, at Zoom. You are recording, you are taking up allotted storage that you'd want to free up at some point. And, Vimeo is that location.
That makes a lot of sense. So my suggestion would be, let's move forward as quickly as we can and and maybe any of the logistics on this, including potentially extra storage if needed. I'll fold that into one large or two proposals with the Microsoft Teams piece. Make it all part of one big package. But conceptually, I think we're saying several things. We want the committee meetings recorded. We want those available. We don't want them available forever. We don't need that. And we would ideally like things behind a firewall.
So on that, a couple different points. I want to make sure that all board members have an opportunity to feed in on this. But we have 20 minutes, and we've got a couple more things on the agenda here too. I don't want to belabor it, but I also want to make sure we have clear direction for how we want management to proceed. Any other comments from the board?
It seems great. It seems great to move this forward. This is part of technology.
Diana or Kevin or Brian, any comments? Or you're good with what the direction right now that's been stated?
I've been big on having these recorded for the transparency, so thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Diana?
No, I'm good. I agree with where we're headed.
Okay, perfect. So let's just figure out a way to make it happen then. Patrick, let us know what we need to do on our end. And Paul Gibbons did say that he would take a peek to see the license storage under the storage under the Business 365 license. So thank you, Paul. Patrick, do you need anything else from us with regards to this?
At this moment, no. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, then we will go ahead and move forward. The adjusted agenda is to discuss the covenants proposal. Diana and myself and Stephen and Gary with the covenants committee, we met as a follow-up to our last Zoom call on covenants, and basically how can we figure this out? How can we make a streamlined process for those that are actually wanting to update their property? Where can we get information? Susan did get some legal update for us with regards to what, as a board, we can and can't, quote, not endorse but provide. And the suggestion that was given to the board by Tom, our CROA counsel, was that we do not provide a list of people, but instead, as part of public disclosure, any of the CROA vendors that we have would be public, and we can refer then to people that need to have work done within their properties saying, this is who CROA is using now. So it's not an endorsement, but it's more of an open forum as to providing, again, a list of our vendors that CROA is using, which I think it provides two things. It provides more of an open platform so that our residents know who we're using, but also it provides some feedback to residents as they're trying to find information on their own. I think everybody.
Something on that.
Oh, please go ahead.
Something on that Tony would always do when Tony was here before she took on her own community was she would go ahead and she would just keep a list of the different vendors that are used throughout Celebration, not just for us, but yeah, by individuals. And she would just share that, and it wasn't an endorsement. It was very clear, but this is something that's already existed. So I just want to make sure that we know that.
Yes, I think there was some confusion as to how we would actually put it out. Go ahead.
If I could jump in real quick. Kevin, you're right. We started that years ago, and we had them by category. You know, it was handyman, it was cleaners, it was roofers, and at the top it would say, this is not co-recommended. These are just some of the vendors that work in Celebration. But what the Covenants Committee was hoping to do was to put that more in direct communication with the letters that go out to homeowners so that they had it immediately when they got the letter. But as you saw with the legal opinion, that the recommendation is to put CROA vendors on the website for reference.
Got it. Okay.
Vanessa?
Yep, go ahead, Diana.
I guess one thing that kind of hit me, I was in the Covenants meeting last night, and they were kind of discussing this a little bit about how to get that out there, but obviously now that's not the recommendation to put the list out publicly. Someone mentioned, that's really kind of what the Celebration front porch and the back porch were all about, with residents sharing who they use, what vendors that they have available. So I think maybe we need to rely, maybe that's where we refer them, our residents to, hey, check the back porch or check the front porch or whatever page that they can find what other, that's where they can look for recommendations, instead of putting us as CROA or as TCMC handing out that information, that they look to their neighbors for it.
And even ask for recommendations. Putting a post that says, I'm looking for someone to do X or Y.
And a lot of that goes on those Facebook pages now.
Yeah,
right,
it does.
That's where we need to direct people.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other thoughts or comments? I think to move forward, provide direction to the Covenants Committee on this. Any thoughts? I guess not.
No,
So-
I think what was said covers that.
Okay.
Encourage them
So
to go
just-
to the, yeah.
Urge them to go to, so use, for right now, anything that the CROA, our CROA vendors can be on our website and we can be directed per Tom's advice. Is that reasonable, Susanna?
I don't.
Sorry, I don't hear you,
Yeah.
Susanna. I'm sorry. Is that a yes?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to
thank
say, and yes, while we're also posting those, we can make a reference on there to say, you know, if you're looking for recommendations, look to the forums or the Facebook page to see what your neighbors have, who they've used in the past.
Ask your neighbors, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but if I could jump in for 1 second, I would feel much more comfortable with the front porch because we do vendors for different things, and if we can encourage, I see an awful lot of stuff on the front porch about I need to fix a gutter or I need to clean a gutter or something else, you know, and who does everyone else use? And you'll usually get 2 or 3 opinions on people, and people will say good or bad about the person and stuff like that. I just feel like you'll miss all that if we just said this is who we use.
Sorry, I got the long guys here. Sorry. You want David, go ahead and figure out here. You can't hear.
Oh, she's got the long, yeah. So are we at pretty much at closure here on this one? Anyone have anything else?
Public comment?
Any public yeah, go ahead. Is that Gary?
Hi, this is Gary Hudspeth.
Go for it.
Thank you, sir. The Covenants Committee was looking for a way to get information to the residents and the owners upfront and quicker. As Susanna said, the front office has always had a list of vendors that they could contact if they want to come by and pick up the list or take the trouble to write an email or telephone. And it's been on the front porch for years. The problem is it's not working very well because the community is aging and we have more letters going out than we did 2 and 3 years ago. So we were looking for a way to get the information directly into the residents' hands without them going through a second or a third step to get that information. They don't know where to go. So if you're not willing to include it in a letter that we mail out with the first letter violation, at least put a sentence in there that they are welcome to check the front porch and here's the website for some vendors that do work in celebration. We need more direct participation by the homeowners because it's just not getting done.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
So my lawn people are gone now. Thanks, David.
Good. All right, sure. That was the only comment we had there.
No one else? Susanna, I think just provide some thoughts as to how we can move forward. It doesn't need to be done today, but so that we can make sure that the Covenants Committee's concerns are addressed as much as possible within legal realms, given our current status. Is that reasonable, Susanna?
Yes, I'll work on that.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the board regarding this? And no other public comment? Very good. So our October board meeting format. We are in the process of trying to figure out how we can start to blend our Zoom meetings and our in-person meetings. Right now, we do not want to endorse an in-person meeting. So I want to make sure that's very clear. The board is not endorsing an in-person meeting. However, we do think that it's important while we are still in the mode of at home that we work out kinks as we start to merge it. Because I think the general consensus of the board, correct me if I'm wrong, please, is we do want to continue with the video formatting, but we recognize the fact that eventually we will be going back to an in-person format. So how can we merge those? I think that moving towards the Microsoft is going to be one way to do that, obviously. But meanwhile, we have Zoom and I think it will work well, but we need to work out kinks. So what are the board's thoughts of having a couple of board members and a couple of management attending in person just to try it. I'm willing to be there in person. I think Brian said he was willing to be in person, not opening it to public yet. I don't think we want to do that yet. But definitely, you know, just maybe no more than 7 or 8 people within a room. We don't, and to try and work through some of these processes. I'll open this up to board comment.
So this is David, 2 comments. One, I think it's a good idea. Second is a technological one. I know I've raised this before, and this might get solved with Microsoft Teams, and that is the video recording of live and Zoom together. So, because we have a recording of whatever we're doing. So this meeting is recorded, but it's all electronic. It's all you know, virtual. So when you have live and you have virtual together, so that if I'm not in the room and Vanessa, you and Brian and maybe one other person are in the room, that all of that is recorded. So as long as everything can be recorded and it's not just audio for the participants who are not, I mean, if myself, if I'm doing this from home and you're there live, it's video for all. So that's a technological question. It might be solved by Microsoft Teams or it might not be.
Okay, thank you, David.
But I support moving forward.
Okay, I'll open to you in just a minute, Tom. I'll give you 1 minute. Any other board comments?
This is Brian. We did one finance committee meeting where we had both Zoom and people in the room, and how we solved the recording issues, we actually had everybody bring an iPad or a laptop, and they zoomed in, so they were in front of the Zoom thing, plus, you know, just people online then could see them. So that's an easy way to solve that problem. Just have people bring their iPad and log in that way. What really got difficult was the logistics of feedback on the audio with people talking and feedback on other computers and stuff like that. So I think the technology issue of feedback is the big issue.
I could see the big issue is, as far as that goes, is also maybe for comments, right? In the beginning for public comments, we will need to have some type of an electronic device for whoever is going to be making a comment in public. So we would have to have an iPad or some venue or some computer or something sitting there for the public comment end of it too. Any other board comment?
I'd say just move forward and just try to solve the technological issues.
Tom, you had a comment?
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Can you speak up a little bit for us?
Can you hear me all right now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. This has come up before, and we are working on a proposal on how we would integrate this need into Teams. We recognize that we've talked with Brian about this, that at some point you will have board meetings. There will be some people live. You also have a TV screen in there that you look at for presentation material that's presented by board members or anyone else. So the technology committee is working on a specific proposal on how we would integrate all of these functions or these needs into Teams, so that we could still have the remote meetings for people who don't want to attend in person. And at the same time, anyone who is remote would be able to see the entire board or see this particular speaker speaking at the board. And we'll also, of course, address the audio issues. So we are working on that proposal, and we'll come up with something. I can't say for sure. I mean, there's only really a few of us that do any real work on the committee. So once we get past this Teams thing, I've been actually looking into this week, this exact thing.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Then I think it's fair to say that moving forward, at least for October, we'll continue on the Zoom format. We'll just do it small, and we'll just be in person, and we'll have if any we won't have anybody else attending. There will be no public there. It will be just strictly a couple of board members and management, and we will be able to do everything in that case on Zoom, and everybody will have computers in front of them, to Brian's comment. So. And again, we'll leave that to Neil as to who all will actually be attending in person in the meeting room and who will not. I know Brian and I are both comfortable in that vein, knowing that we're going to be socially distanced and masks and all that stuff around. So we'll leave any of the other board members who wish to join in that vein are more than welcome to. Before we move on to our next meeting, is there anything, any board or any public comment or anything like that, or any board comment that we need before talking about our next meetings?
So I have a question. Do we have any update yet from the county or from the CCDD about Halloween?
We do not have any updates as of now. Neil, I know you most recently spoke with the commissioner. And do you know if that was even on, was that even on your radar when you were having your meeting?
It was a comment I brought up that we were waiting, and I don't want to misquote the commissioner, but it was more or less, we need to get feedback from the sheriff, or our leadership needs to focus more on the sheriff, because at the end of the day, it has to be something that's enforceable, and she's not convinced a curfew is going to be implemented at all. I didn't get the feeling we're going to get anything from the county at the county level on Halloween, which my recommendation to the board would be, we need to now probably just ask for what we want and be told no.
Fair enough. So Brian, as the person who's been working with CCDD and the county for this initiative, let us know as a board what you need from us.
All right, I'll think about it and figure out what I need. I'll send an email to the board.
Just as a follow-up on that, have we reviewed the option to get one of those signs or a couple of those signs at the entrances as a reminder of the mandate? We don't have to wait for Halloween for that.
I'm good
Sorry,
with that.
what was
Sorry.
that?
Go ahead.
The signage that the CDD normally would put up for if there's no fireworks or if there's, you know, different items. I was curious if management reached out to the CDD with that contact to go ahead and get that signage in as a reminder of the mandate for the mask.
Yes, Paul Collins had followed up with me and was kind of waiting on us. Well, actually, we were all waiting to hear back from the county, and it sounds like we're not going to hear anything. So CDD is willing to get some signage out there. I had told Paul I'd probably follow up with him in 10 days. We kind of agreed we probably needed to, I'll make this comment from the board, you can agree or disagree, probably need to start messaging around the middle of October. Right now it's probably a little bit too early. And then we just have to figure out exactly what the message would say.
Yeah.
And I believe it's the ECDD that actually owns that signage. So that's, it should be something easy to get.
So one thing we talked about in our last workshop is what our stance would be, and we did not come up with closure. So I would propose at our next workshop that we come up with closure as to what our stance would be, and then that translates to what our messaging would be. And then we can be very, very clear with our own community and with the signage to the, if you will, to the non-residents too.
Our next meeting is October the 2nd for a Zoom meeting. I think we can put that on there safely and we can have a better conversation and we'll know more as to what the county and CCDD want to do also. Is that reasonable, Brian?
I'm fine with October 2nd. Is it all right if I invite Paul Collins?
Absolutely. I think that would be very helpful.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any other comments before we move on to our next meeting and our CCS meeting, which starts in 1 minute?
I know that I was on the dog park committee yesterday, and I know that they would like a little bit of time at the next workshop, October 2nd.
So we'll add October the 2nd workshop. We'll have the dog park on there. If we could add that on there too, please. Perfect. Thank you. Then our next meeting is next Wednesday. Again, that's in the evening. It's a 6 o'clock board meeting, Wednesday the 23rd. And then we'll have our Friday, September 25th budget workshop, which will be nothing other than discussing the budget. That's the only reason why we're having it. And it will be starting at 9 instead of at our usual 10 o'clock. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved. So moved.
Thank you, David. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kevin. The
Are we
meeting
going
is
to keep this?
adjourned.
We keep
Are
this.
we going to keep this line active so I don't
Yep.
have to dial out?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
thanks.
the same meeting number. Do we have a new meeting? Oh shoot,
It's
a
a
new
different meeting.
number.
We have a different meeting ID.
We got to log in,
Okay.
log out
Yeah,
and
we
log
got.
back in.
Sorry, all.
All
I
right.
hate
All
to
right,
do that.
bye.
Make sure
Yeah,
you,
it's a different
make sure you
meeting.
send me the
Sorry.
ID if I need it.
I'll send it to you.
Patrick
All
already
right.
sent it to you, Brian.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, all.